team like Kyrie and KD, or the Lake Show with King James and AD. Wish I could match him up with the bad boys from the 80s, but no black and white, I need that in HD. HenDawgz.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy HenDawgz, and we back to it. You know how we do it. The team that doesn't dribble. I don't know if this is an NBA team, a college team, a YMCA team. Like, I have no idea, but hey, they must be pretty good because they got a YouTube video explaining how they don't dribble. Or maybe they might be trash. Like, I don't know. But let's get into the video though. But before we do, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all like this video. If y'all like this video, and go ahead and write something in the comments. Let me know how y'all feel about this team that doesn't dribble. I'm gonna assume that it's like a really, really good team. It's like a bunch of Klay Thompsons out here that score well, going off screens and not really needing to dribble the ball. So that's what I'm gonna assume. We won't really know until we get into it, man. So here we go. Let's get into it. We got the team that doesn't dribble. Let's get it.
Video is brought to you by Huddle. The dribbling and passing dashboard you'll see later was created using Huddle Sports Code.
Okay. Shout out to Huddle Sports Code.
Here's a list of last season's most efficient offenses. Even without making any adjustments for strength of schedule, the two teams from the national championship game were at the top. And Houston, another Final Four member, also cracked the top 5. Stylistically, those three were all aligned with how most college basketball teams now play.
Stylistically is a word? I didn't even know that was a word.
But lots and lots of ball screens. They each averaged right around 25 per game, which would have been virtually unheard of 10 years ago. During the 2012 season, for example, just 2 Division I teams averaged 20 ball screens per game. Last season, 201 teams averaged 20 per game.
Bowling Green.
The floor, setting a screen.
I see my school on there.
201.
Hey, I see Bowling Green right there. What we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 13 from the top. That's what college I played at. I played it for 4 years.
Teams average 20 per game. Spreading the floor, setting a screen, and allowing a playmaker to probe the defense off the dribble is now the way of life in college basketball. But as we start scrolling down the list, there's one notable exception among the top 15 offenses. A team that finished 11th in points per possession, but used just 4 ball screens per game. The Bellarmine Knights. If you're not from the state of Kentucky, there's probably a decent chance you've never heard of Bellarmine University.
Never.
But head coach Scott Davenport has arguably the most unique offensive scheme in the country. One that routinely generates possessions similar to this one. 10 consecutive passes with 0 dribbles in between, all leading to an eventual layup.
That's crazy.
Here it is against a high major opponent in Notre Dame. This time they start the possessions with 11 passes before taking their first dribble. Relying on off-ball cutting and screening to wear down the Notre Dame defense and again generate a high percentage.
No dribbles?
It's all that motion and unselfish passing that makes the Bellarmine offense such an outlet. Davenport himself refers to the style as pressing on offense.
You press on offense by making the defense uncomfortable and you speed them up. Well, how do you do that, coach? You don't do that dribble. You do that off the pass. Because when you move the ball, you move the defense.
To produce this video, we charted every single pass and dribble from 5 different Bellarmine.
Hey!
I'll show you those numbers, plus the X's and O's and all the details behind that press on offense style.
I got a question for y'all though. Do y'all think that this is an offense that you will put in when you don't have good ball handlers on your team, and because of that you want to do this? Or do y'all think that this offense is just that good that you're going to put this offense in no matter who you got on your team? Because I don't know. I think it may, if you got some Steph Currys out there or some Kyrie Irvings out there that kind of want to dribble the ball, like, would you be taking away from their strengths if you don't let them dribble? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what y'all think.
Please hit those like and subscribe buttons to help out the channel, and let's get into it.
Hoop vision.
Prior to taking over the Bellarmine basketball program, Scott Davenport was an assistant coach at Louisville for 10 years, working both under Denny Crum from 1996 to 2001, and then Rick Pitino following Crum's retirement. When Bellarmine came calling in 2005 to hire Davenport, he was able to stay in the city of Louisville for his first collegiate head coaching job. At that time, Bellarmine was a struggling Division II program. They finished 9-18 in each of the previous 2 seasons before Davenport. But after going a combined 40-43 in his first 3 seasons, Davenport led Bellarmine to their first D2 NCAA tournament appearance in nearly 2 decades in year number 4. From there, the Knights were built into a D2 powerhouse, winning the national championship in 2011 with 3 more Final Four appearances in 2012, 2015, and 2017. The reason for that success was 10 years of offensive dominance. Bellarmine shot above 50% from the field in all 10 of their final Division II seasons.
So that shit works.
And amazing.
So that shit works. Like, his offense works, but that still don't really answer my question, though. Is he just recruiting for players that can't dribble? Or is he just recruiting the best available and he changing their game to win? Like, I don't really know.
They were number 1 in all of D2 in field goal percentage in 6 of those years. Following the 2020 season, the Knights transitioned to the Division I level, joining the A-Sun Conference. They were then picked by the media to finish dead last in the preseason poll. But the big question was, would that amazing offensive track record translate to D1?
The challenge last year, now we're a Division I team. We're transition. We're going to find out if this will work.
I think it'll work.
So last year's a great challenge. 358 teams playing. Number 1, Gonzaga. Not too hard to figure. They were 37-0 going into the national championship game.
That's what y'all got?
We were 3. We were number 3 in the nation of 358 teams.
Bellarmine shot above 50% from the field yet again, finishing 3rd in the country in percentage. They also vastly exceeded those preseason expectations. So not even a transition to Division I could slow down Bellarmine's shooting stats. But let's take this a step further. Let's do some counting. Dribbling and passing stats aren't tracked league-wide at the college level. So using Huddle Sports Code, we did the work ourselves, selecting 5 Bellarmine games from last year and tracking each possession. On average, the Knights had 350 dribbles and 325 passes per game, a ratio of 1.08 dribbles per pass. One of those games, though, against North Alabama, Bellarmine achieved a ratio below 1, recording more passes than dribbles.
More passes
to give you some more
dribbles.
context, here's the same numbers for Bellarmine's opponents. The 5 of those opponents averaged 508 dribbles. That's 158 more dribbles per game for the opponents compared to Bellarmine. Overall, just 3% of Bellarmine's opponents' possessions had 8 or more passes. That graph changes drastically for Bellarmine's offense. 18% of possessions had 8 or more passes. To give you even more context, we do have passing stats available for NBA teams. Last season, there were 3 teams tied for the most passes in the NBA at 308, well short of Bellarmine's 350. But remember, college games are 8 minutes shorter than an NBA game.
True.
So if we make the adjustment to per 48 minutes, Bellarmine averaged over 100 more passes than every single NBA team. The Knights are clearly an offensive outlier. But why and how does their offense produce those results? Let's talk X's and O's.
Great shooters?
The most common way...
I'm going to assume that they have great shooters. If you got an offense to where people are not dribbling the ball, you got to have great shooters, I would assume. Or you also got to have people that's willing to set great screens too. People don't really realize how important it is to set screens and get people open. Like, it should be a stat. Like, that should be a stat that people look into more because it's really important. It's pretty much like an assist without passing the ball. You're assisting a player to score.
The way Bellarmine starts its offense is with scissor action. 2 players cutting off of the 5-man. The first cutter moves towards the ball side block where he can occasionally catch his man sleeping for a layup. But it's the second cutter that tends to get open at a much higher frequency. Bellarmine will look to throw the lob pass up towards that weak side block to hit the second cutter for a dunk or layup. Here's the opening possession of a game. If you're a Bellarmine opponent, you have to know the scissor action is coming. You probably went over it all week in practice.
Most
Yet
definitely.
the Knights still get the easy bucket. There's a
Good
few
screens.
reasons why this relatively simple action is so effective.
That
First
was
off, their
bad
roster
defense.
is loaded with great passers. They're especially good at making that two-hand overhead lob pass. And if the defender loses vision when guarding the cut, they'll sneak a pass in even the tightest of spaces. Watch Duke defend it. Matthew Hurt tries to switch, and even though he's in line with the second cutter, Bellarmine still sneaks it
pass.
in. Another strength of the Knights is reading the defense. The first cut here would normally be towards the ball side block, but Dylan Penn sees the defense cheating over the screen and cuts back door instead. On this play, North Alabama guards the scissor by sagging their 5-man, allowing him to protect the paint. So Bellarmine runs a play to exploit that coverage, screening the 5-man and
That's
nailing
good
the three.
offense.
These little
That's
reads and
good
adjustments are
offense.
how a play so simple can still be so effective. Another one of those tweaks is
Hold on, we're gonna rewind that. We're gonna explain this one a little bit. So yeah, so every team gonna run it a different, or gonna guard it a different way. Every team is gonna guard it a different way. It's just a matter of the offense and picking what the defense is giving you. So in this one, yeah, they said that they wasn't gonna let the big was gonna sit back and not let any of them cutters get those open layups, because that's what everybody gets. So because of that, he's guarding a shooter. So the person that he's guarding is gonna come out and gonna get a three. So it's just really about picking your poison, man. You can't guard everything. So y'all see this?
tagging their 5-man, allowing him to protect the paint. So Bellarmine runs a play to exploit that coverage.
And now he
screening
late.
the 5-man.
That's
and
great
nailing the
offense,
three.
man.
These little
That's
reads
great
and
offense.
adjustments are how a play so simple can still be so effective. Another one of those tweaks is when Bellarmine enters the ball directly into the 5-man and then still cuts to the basket when the
Same
defense
difference.
turns their head to look at the ball. If the first cut and the second cut aren't open, there's a pretty good chance another cut is on its way. The defense just
No
can't
dribbles.
afford to let up when guarding the Bellarmine off-ball motion. My personal favorite out of the scissor action is when Bellarmine passes to the first cutter, who then in turn makes a beautiful pass himself to the second cutter.
They know what they're
If the
looking
scissor
for.
stalls out completely, Bellarmine's base motion offense is all about ball reversals. Reverse the ball to one side, then cut someone towards the basket. If that's not open, reverse the ball to the other side and repeat the process. Here's the system in all its glory. They start in the scissor and then flow right into the motion, completing 12 passes and 4 ball reversals without any dribbles in between, all while cutting and engaging the defense until there's finally a breakdown 21 seconds into the possession. That's Bellarmine basketball for you in a nutshell.
That's so tough to guard.
Basically, our roster cannot go by you one-on-one. And that's the way a lot of the game's predicated right now. But if I get you closing 15 feet out to me, my chances of being able to go by you now is pretty good. Because if you don't get out there, I'm going to shoot.
Right.
Of course, it's not like Bellarmine never dribbles. That would be pretty much impossible. But the dribbles usually come after moving the defense with ball reversals. The passing puts defenders in uncomfortable situations, like having to long close out to a shooter. Here's an example where all the movement early in the possession then creates a wide open baseline drive later on. It's hard for the defense to chase Bellarmine around while also still maintaining normal help principles.
That's true.
I showed in the beginning of the video that Bellarmine uses the fewest ball screens of any team in the country. But one way they do create offense is through the post-up. That's the one area where they will use the dribble to go one-on-one. Sometimes even passing to the first cutter on their scissor action and just letting him go to work. But as you might expect, whenever that ball does get dribbled, whether it's a post-up or a regular drive, Bellarmine off-ball players are fantastic at cutting to the basket. The scenario where the ball is dribbled towards a help defender, the help defender briefly loses sight of his man, and then the help defender's man cuts along the baseline for a backdoor pass is a regular occurrence for the Knights.
So basically, a great passer, great coaching, and great shooting with this offense, and you'll be really, really good. I think one thing that I noticed a lot was that the players knew where to look Like a lot of times, you know, you might not even know that that person is open, but you could tell they practice it so much, which again goes back to great coaching. The players know where their teammates are supposed to be. So when you do these different cuts and all these, you know, off-ball screens, you're looking at where the people are supposed to be and supposed to be open, and you see them. I see why this team is pretty good.
In addition to their base motion offense, Bellarmine does run some quick-hitting set plays. So let's end the video by looking at my two favorites. The first one is similar to blind pig action out of the triangle offense. The guards cross over each other above the foul line while the bigs flash to the elbow. Once the ball is passed to the elbow, the guard on that side automatically cuts towards the basket. Watch how Adam Eberhard makes the pass, jumping and spinning in the air and trusting that
he's going to be there
right on time. The second play is out of Bellarmine's Iverson series. It starts with a guard making the Iverson cut from one wing to the other. As that's happening, the other guard sets two back screens with the second one going for a lob to the basket. So that's the style of one of the most unique offenses in college basketball. Of course, it's not the only way to play offense. There are, after all, plenty of examples of teams having great success by running ball screen schemes. But Bellarmine recruits players for the style and then develops them once they get on campus. Clearly, over the last decade, it's paid off.
First lesson you ever learn in coaching is there's more than one way to be successful.
1000%.
There is no one way. And you mentioned other coaches. But it works for us.
A big thank you to Huddle for sponsoring this video.
100. Great video. I like what he just said at the end. There's no one way to be successful. Like, to just have that mindset and work hard towards one type of style of play and just go hard with it. Just go hard. Go to the point where you see how his players, they literally bought into his system. And they're benefiting from it. So just buying into one specific system will do wonders, man. But I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if y'all haven't already. Make sure y'all like this video. If y'all like this video, go ahead and write something in the comments, man. Let me know how y'all feel about that offense, and do y'all think that will work in the NBA? If the NBA team decided to run this offense, do y'all think that will work? Let me know. But I appreciate y'all like always. We out.